I told you. I told you. I told you. Armed with my Ice Mountain water, Pastor Marty here, welcoming you to the afternoon drive. Thank you so much for joining us, where I rant and rave with my flawless reasonings about pop culture and, of course, politics. Make sure you're a subscriber to the channel. Smack the bell, click the word all to get notification of my rants. Please like and share this video so that we can get the word out that we're here. Thank you for joining us today. I told you they were going to make the move to keep Donald Trump's name off the ballot. And right out the gate, we have Politico with a story that this is being fought now in the state of New Hampshire. Now, the president of the New Hampshire GOP has been talking with the state attorney general, and they believe that they can thwart off this threat and keep Donald Trump's name on the ballot. What they're trying to do in the state of New Hampshire is under the 14th Amendment, Section 3, because Donald Trump, as president, takes an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States by leading an insurrection, the words from the 14th Amendment. That's why, right from the very moment, there were people getting inside the Capitol, and the media pounced on the word insurrection, insurrection, insurrection. Nancy Botox Pelosi, insurrection. Chuck E. Cheese Schumer, insurrection, insurrection. Mitch McConnell, insurrection, insurrection, insurrection. It was a Fedsurrection. This thing had been cooked up long before the people ever got there on January the 6th. They knew that Donald Trump was going to hold this rally. They knew that the MAGA crowd would come. They would pray, and they would peacefully protest and want to make their voices heard, that there was pressure being put on deep stater Mike Pence to send this back to the states to not certify. But of course, he's a wimp. He is a feckless fraud. He is a fake Christian. He is a fraudulent patriot. He is deep state up to his eyeballs. He is corrupt. He is bought. He is paid for. He is compromised. When he stood on that debate stage and said, "I had no constitutional authority. I had no constitutional authority to send this back to the states. There was no precedent ever for this." He's either completely stupid about American history or he's lying. I opt for lying. Richard Nixon, 1961, sent it back. Everybody knew there was corruption and fraud in the state of Illinois, that dead people had voted for John F. Kennedy. It was being talked about openly in the news. Richard Nixon kicked it back to the states and said, "You guys decide if you really want to certify this or not." Illinois made the decision they were going to go forward with it despite the evidence, and Richard Nixon opted not to drag this out in a long legal battle. Historians say, on the left and right, he could have, and he had a case. He chose not to put the American people through that, but when he was president of the Senate, because he was vice president of the United States under Dwight D. Eisenhower, he sent it back. Bump, ba-dum, bump. Mike Pence, they're all in on this. Donald Trump was the outsider, the we the people candidate, the how dare you, as an American voter, actually think you get to choose who's going to be the leader of the United States. We'll decide that for you, and we'll give you a choice between yin and yang. And you pick either one of them that we approve. Different sides of the same coin. They're there for the status quo. They're there for the oligarch. They're there for the military-industrial complex. They're going to be warmongers and whoremongers, but we'll give you the pick. How dare you pick this Trump guy who's not part of the club, he's not part of the establishment, he's not part of the inner group. You picked him, and you'll never do that again. Mike Pence was sent there as the VP to keep an eye on things and disrupt from within, the traitor within. That is exactly what Mike Pence is, a vile, disgusting human being. So now, knowing that people would gather on January the 6th, the plan had been cooked up. Hold back the security. Don't give them enough officers. Don't send in the National Guard. Let the feds that are implanted in the crowd get things whipped up. The only thing they're mad about January 6th is that the Trump people, them no good blue collar stupid simpletons from Appalachia and the Hill Country and their Second Amendment rights and their John boats and their four-wheel drive pickups. They showed up at an insurrection unarmed. And that ticks off the left, that ticks off the political establishment, that ticks off the rhinos, that ticks off the deep state. How could you people have showed up for a feud without any feuding irons? And they didn't. Because that's not what January 6th was going to be about. It's not what Donald Trump wanted it to be about. It's what the feds wanted it to be about. Because they knew. Mike Pence knew. The only thing that was going to happen was that election was not going to be kicked back. They were going to certify it for Joe Biden. They knew Trump would be back in 4 years, so they had to somehow disqualify him, create an insurrection, because that lines up with the wording of the 14th Amendment. This was their plot, their plan the whole time. And so now you have the state of New Hampshire that's moving to try to keep Trump's name off the ballot. Interesting is the fact that Trump hasn't actually been charged with insurrection. And in things he's been indicted for, he's been found guilty of nothing yet. So they are preemptively disqualifying someone who's accused but not proven guilty of anything. But it isn't just New Hampshire, boys and girls. Guess what other state has already filed charges or already filed motions to keep Donald's name off the ballot? Florida. Yeah, the Sunshine State. Trump's state of residence. Ron DeSantis country. I told you that Christie was DeSantis' plan. That Christie is there to do the hit job on Trump if Trump ever takes the stage with this clown show in a debate. That DeSantis brought Christie in to Marco Rubio Donald Trump. But because Ron Deep State DeSantis, former JAG, former leader of how to do the torture at Gitmo, is in this up to his eyeballs and, shall we say, misbehavior of the American military around the planet and, quote-unquote, getting them out of trouble and being the cover-up artist and making certain people that get in the way of those situations just go away. If you don't understand the reason that Ron DeSantis comes across as kind of plastic and like he is above having to give all the interviews and shake hands and really connect with people, because in the back of his mind he's like, I'm never going to really run against Trump because we've got 4 plans in place to get rid of him. Some of you that are thinking, well, if Donald Trump can't get in, I'm going to vote for DeSantis. No. It's really, at this point, it's Trump or nothing. Trump is the last hope we have of taking the country back. That's it. Ron Deep State DeSantis, he's just controlled opposition. Now, NPR, where they whisper the news because they think it makes them sound smarter. An NPR podcast is talking openly that state attorney generals have the sole authority at the 0 hour to remove Donald Trump's name from ballots. This is their October surprise. We're going to learn in October that 4, 5, half a dozen states, that's it. They're taking Trump's name off. Now, some people yesterday, when I talked about this, said, well, okay, he's not going to win the blue states anyway. He needs Florida. You don't think the rhino governor of Georgia would try to keep Trump's name off the Georgia ballot? You see what's coming? See what's coming? And Ron DeSantis and those other Republicans, they're in on it. So what you going to do about it? It's write-in time. And it's put pressure on Congress time. It's about time we start putting some pressure on our Congress people about what are you going to do to stop these fraudulent charges coming against a former president? Are you going to step in there with some real authority of the American government behind you and put a stop to this nonsense in Georgia, put a stop to this nonsense in New York, put a stop to this nonsense in Florida over the documents and just declare, hey, he was the president, he had the authority to declassify whatever he chose to declassify, this is over. It's time we start putting pressure on them. You know they aren't going to do the right thing because it's the right thing. They will do the right thing when it becomes the expedient thing. And we hold the ability to put the pressure on them to make it expedient.